Namaste, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this class. It's yoga for the legs. So I'm going to start today by coming onto the sticky mat, and we are going to use our belt in different manners to help us open our legs. So keep it close by and come onto your back for a moment. Relax your whole body and sense your bones dropping onto your sticky mat. Take a couple of breaths, maybe a sigh to release a little bit of the tension that gets trapped in the body. And notice if there's any sensations arising, like tingling, throbbing, pulses. Try to soften the skin. Just notice sometimes we can, as we notice, we can realize if one side of the body feels heavier than the other, or if there's any area that feels tight or constricted. See if you can use the support of the earth to release and empty out a little before we start, okay? Softening the face, your jaws, you can even wiggle the mandibule from side to side a little. Relax the skin around your eyes. Good, and then we are going to start slowly by bending the right knee, bringing it towards the chest. Hug that knee in for a moment, and if you want, you can do a few circles with your foot, with your ankle flexing, pointing maybe the toes, moving up and down, sideways, to start pumping blood into the leg, the joints. Good, and then with your right hand, you'll take a few circles slowly, taking the knee towards a direction of your choosing to start. You may hear snapping sounds or clicking sounds, which are normal. We are trying to make space, getting a little deeper now into the hip joint, okay? I'm doing 3 circles, the first direction that I took, and then I'm going to reverse it for 3. Try to go slower than your usual pace. Our minds are usually prone to go fast and speed up because that's what we do usually in our daily lives. But see if you can use these 30 minutes to slow down a little and get a little deeper into your body, okay? Once you're there, hug the knee back into the chest and release that right foot down, open the arms to the sides, and we are going to let that right knee drop out to the side. And just take a moment here, a breath, to notice the sensation there, opening that right side into like a butterfly or tree pose shape. And now what I'm going to do is to press with the pinky side of my foot and try and lift my heel. So I'm activating the inner leg. Perhaps you feel it already there. Take a breath. And then I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to try and push into the inner heel and lift my toes off the sticky. So a different activation for the muscles. And then again, I'm going to press into the pinky toe side of the foot and lift the heel. And then I'm going to reverse, trying to press into the heel, lifting the toes. Notice which one feels more challenging, okay? One more time, pressing into the pinky toe side. And notice, of course, the sensations that may be different as you press one side and the other. Good, then I'm going to release that, take a deep breath. Bring the sole of the foot to touch down again into your sticky mat. And we are going to bring that right knee into the chest again and take the right knee over to the left, opening the right arm to the side. Taking a twist here, a couple of breaths, dropping the upper back, the shoulders. Then I'm slowly coming back, and I'm going to extend that right leg and notice differences between right side and left side. Good. Then we're going to start this little sequence again, but on the left side. Hug your left knee, bring it in. If you can, you extend your right leg, feeling the difference between the contraction in the left hip flexor or the groin compared to the extension of the opposite side. And then bring a few of those circles to the left foot, pushing, flexing and pointing, mobilizing your toes, maybe sideways for a few times. Good. Then we're going to add the circling for the knee. I'm holding with my left hand, and whichever direction feels natural for you to go first, slowly drawing circles. This movement, while we are oiling the joints, are also helpful to release low back pain, okay? So if we go slow and then reversing, you can get a little deeper into all of the tissues and the connections from the hip joint into the lateral hip, the lower back. Good. Once you're there, back again, bend that knee into the chest, take a breath. Let the breath stay fluid. Good. And then I'm going to put that left foot on the sticky and let the knee drop out to the side, okay? Another breath here, and then for 3 repetitions, I'm going to start activating through the foot. So we are working on that ankle joint, but connected to the knee joint as well. I'm pressing into the left pinky toe side of my foot and trying to lift the heel, and then slowly reverse it, pressing into the outer side of the heel and trying to lift the toes. And again. Adding one more, go at your own pace. Then release that leg without any force, let it drop. Then we press through the sole of the foot, back up, bring the knee into the chest, and with your right hand, gently bring that knee over to the right side, letting the left arm drop over to the left, maybe chin also to that side. Don't push super hard, just let the weight of your body help you create that stretch, that twist. And then we return slowly back to the center. Hug that left knee in and release the leg. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Good. Now I'm going to move on to some exercises with the belt, which are really helpful for the legs, okay? So from here, what I'm going to do is first bend both my knees. I'm going to bend both my feet. You can go towards the very end of your arches. My feet are going to be hip distance apart, and I have the 2 tails of the belt to the sides. And we are going to start simply by bending the knees towards the chest. And stay here as you keep the knees bent, pushing with the feet up towards the skies. Relax the shoulders down. Bring the belly button into your spine and feel the sides of your torso. Okay, so we are going to try and breathe into the sides of the trunk for a moment there. And then activating and firing the muscles in the front of the legs into the backs of the legs. I'm going to try and press up towards the skies. My inner legs, they are moving away from my belly button. I'm pushing firmly through the inner heels. And I'm going to take a couple of breaths here. Trying to, again, like I said, Feel the length in the sides of the torso, grounding the lower back, bringing the abdominals in, and really activating the quadriceps, the kneecaps, to open up the backs of the legs. You may start feeling a little bit of tingling or tiredness in the legs, which is normal, okay? You can bend the knees whenever you need. Take another breath. And one more time, we're going to bend both knees towards the chest. And then firing the front leg muscles, pressing into the lumbars and bringing the abdominals in, we re-extend. Good. Now I'm going to keep the right foot up, but I'm going to take my left leg down. You can put the foot down on your sticky mat or extend the leg the way that feels better in your lower back and in your body in general, okay? So now the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to hold both tails of the belt into my right hand for a moment. And as I keep pressing with my heel up towards the skies, I'm going to do a movement that it's like windshield wipers for my foot, which will be oiling the hip joint. So I'm going to move the toes over to the right and then in towards the left. And again, a few times like that. As you can see, I'm not opening the leg to the side. It's a movement that it's onto the joint, okay? So I'm wiggling or rotating into the joint and also working with that femur bone, the head of the femur bone connecting to the socket, okay? So a few times it may feel a little challenging because the outer rotation, we may do it more often than the inner rotation. Good, and then we come back to the center, we push again through that heel. We can reconnect both hands into the belt. And now we are going to try and keep that leg as extended as you can and bring the leg a little closer. As you can see, I'm not going extremely far. It's just like a millimeter or half an inch to come towards your chest and feel a little bit more of the stretch in the lumbars and the back of the leg. Good. Then I'm going to return towards the neutral or more vertical, and I'm going to again hold my both belts into my right hand, left hand into my left hip crease, and I'm going to open that right leg over to the right. And with my left hand, I'm making sure that my left hip doesn't lift off the sticky mat, okay? So it's not important how far you're going, but it is important that you keep the pelvis in the neutral position, grounding through your buttock bones, and expanding the pelvis to help also with the inner leg connection, okay? Push through the inner heel, feel the inner leg in the right side, pumping. For another breath. Good, and then we'll slowly return. I'm going to switch hands, holding with my left, and now I'm going to use my right hand as a tool. So my right thumb is going to go into my hip crease, as you can see, and my four fingers, they are outside my hip. And with that, like a hook, I'm going to be pushing that hip crease away from my chest as I bring the right leg over to the left. I'm not going to go too far. I'm letting my right hip lift off the sticky mat just a little bit, and I'm only going like half of the way. So it's like 50%, okay? So I stay there and I keep pushing with my thumb and four fingers to lengthen that lower area and the pelvis. And you may feel this in the hamstring or the IT band, or for some of us, it could even go towards the lower back, okay? So lengthen the side of the trunk, push through the right heel, activate that inner leg, and breathe through it. Then we return to the center, Slowly bend the right knee, bring it into the chest, and release that leg. Take a deep breath in. Notice sensations, right side, left side. Good, and we'll switch into our second side. Left foot goes up. I'm going to put the belt close to the heel. You could also put it under the toes, so below the toes, and it can be similar, okay? We are still, even if you put below your toes, we are still pushing through the heel, okay? Remember, you can keep the right foot on the sticky mat with the right knee flexed, or you can extend the leg depending on how that feels for your lower back, okay? Now from here, I'm going to start by pushing through the inner leg up towards the ceiling, activating the front leg muscles, and trying to really give more opening into the back of the leg. You may be feeling it already in your hamstring. If it's too intense, that sensation, then you bend the knee or micro bend it so you soften that. It's important to not pull extremely hard from the hamstring because they are connected to your lumbars, okay? So if you're pulling too hard, you may be affecting also your lower back. Good, then from there, we are going to play a little bit with that windshield wiper motion. So I'm holding the foot with my the belt with my left hand, and I'm going side to side, in and out. A few times. Notice there the sensation alongside your leg, perhaps in the joint. And then I'm returning to the center or the neutral, pushing again through the heel, opening the back of the leg as I'm activating kneecap, quads. And I'm going to try and bring that leg just a little closer. Like I said before, it's tiny. I'm pushing through the heels, trying to relax the shoulders, chest open. Then I'm going to hold belts onto the left hand, right hand onto my right hip crease, keeping that hip heavy. I'm going to open that left leg over to the left. Remember, it's not how far you go or if you're touching the floor. It's trying to create opening in the pelvis, in the lumbars, and activating the inner leg, directing your left sitting bone towards the top of your mat. Softening the face, relaxing your skull down. Good, and then we take that leg back up. Last portion, I'm going to hold with my right hand. Left hand is my tool now with my thumb onto the hip crease, the four fingers outside the hip, and I'm taking that leg over to the right, half of the way, so 50% only. Push through that left thumb, lengthening the left side of your torso, and feel the sensations in the left leg as you push through the heel and activate the front leg into the back. One more breath. Then we slowly return, bend that knee, taking the belt out to the side, hug the knee in, extend the leg, let it drop next to the right one, take a deep breath. And again, an opportunity to notice sensations. Good, then from here, I'm just sliding a little, so I have more space. I'm going to push through both heels. Now I'm going to activate both legs, like what we did with both legs up to the skies, but this time supine. I'm going to lengthen my lumbars, so I have less of an arch there, even though there is a normal arch in the lumbars. Push through the heels, inhale, send the arms up overhead, all the way to the wall or the piece of furniture that's behind you. And then lace the fingers, push through the hands, The palms are facing the wall behind you, extending through the sides. Good, I'm going to try and keep the legs super active, pressing the muscles down to the earth, and I'm going to hold opposite elbows, extending the elbows up away from the chest, and keeping the legs as they are. I'm going to slide my torso and my head over to the right, creating a stretch on the left side. Now I really want to activate through the legs and mainly push through the left heel. So we are opening that left side a lot, all the way to the left elbow. Then I'm slowly returning back to center. Center yourself, press the hips down, and then go over to the left, trying to keep the pelvis neutral, pressing down, extend through the heels, mainly the right one, and lengthen the right elbow away from your right hip. Good, then slowly we return back to the center. Soften the legs, let them wiggle a little, relax the arms. Good. Okay, then we're going to bend our knees, roll over to the side, press up towards the seat. And I'm going to use a block. I'm going to come into a tabletop position, placing the block flat in between my upper thighs. And I'm going to hug that block before we come up, okay? We still have a few moments to keep working our legs. So I'm going to bring my hands under the shoulders, dialing my fingertips out towards the sides of the mat just a little bit. And of course, I'm hugging a block, so I don't have a lot of mobility in the legs per se, because I want that block to not fall, okay? So hug it in the upper portion of your thighs. And then from there, if you can, you widen your feet, tuck your toes, and push yourself up into downward facing dog. If this posture is not in your book or it's hard to do or challenging, you can stay in the tabletop and hug the inner thighs into the block as well. Okay, this can be good. You lift the abdominals, pressing with your palms away, right, in your sticky, and you stay there. If you're okay coming into down dog, send the outer shoulders back, relax the neck and the head, draw the abdominals in, push the chest towards your legs, and with your inner legs, you're trying to press into the block and send it back towards the wall you have behind you. So we are creating an internal rotation in the upper thighs and trying to create with that a little bit more opening in the lumbars, okay? Hug the muscles of your legs into your bones, and if you can, bring the heels up over the toes, and then re-extend. And again. One more time, lifting the heels. And back. Good, and then bring your knees down for a moment. Take the block out and sit back. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Good. I'm going to add just a little more. I have a blanket with me that it's already made into a roll. So if you have a blanket, take it and quickly make a roll compacted. This also works the legs, and I'm going to put the tops of my feet where the ankle joints are. So it's like from the top of the feet into the connection with the tibia or the shin bone, okay? So I'm putting that in that little valley, and I'm going to sit in between my heels. If your sitting bones are not touching your roll, mine are, you can always add another piece of support underneath your sitting bones to sit taller, okay? Or to add more height if you need it there. So in this one, we are opening the front of the thighs, right? We are letting them become heavy, the knees heavy into the floor. Try to relax the tops of your feet over that roll and sit tall for a moment. Roll the shoulders back. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. let's add a little bit of chest and upper body opening. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, bring your right arm over the left. We take the eagle arms. If you cannot do this shape, bring the hands to the shoulders. Lift the elbows a little bit. Take a deep breath in, soft face. Deep breath out. Inhaling, we go back up. Exhaling, left arm over the right one, eagle arms. We lift up the elbows a little, and again, as we soften the skin in the face, the outer ears, we breathe in and out. We inhale, send the arms up overhead. And with the exhale, we release and we move ourselves out of that roll. And we're going to take one downward facing dog without the block. So now we put our hands again with the fingertips dialed out a bit, and we lift off into the downward facing dog, pushing the mat away with the hands, drawing the abdominals in. And remember that action that we did with the inner legs pressing into the block. I want you to imagine that action again, even when you don't have the block, and slowly dragging the navel in and rolling towards the top of the mat. We take a plank pose. Keep hugging those inner thighs like if you had the block, and then go back to down dog. 2 more like that, slowly. I'm doing a little bit of a wavy motion until I come there. Then I'm hugging those inner thighs in and back. Last one. Good, and then the knees come down, widen the knees, sit back and take a child's pose. We stay here for a moment. Notice your breath, the sensations that may be arising in your legs or perhaps somewhere else in the body. Good. And then we slowly press up and come up towards a seat. I have a few minutes left. So for the last portion, I'm going to suggest that we take that blanket that you had, but now we are going to use it as a support to sit on. So you can undo that roll and make it into a square, or if you have a pillow, then you do that, okay? Now we are going to bring the soles of the feet together. With your hands, you can catch your feet, roll the shoulders back, lift up through the sides of the trunk. Let your shoulder blades slide down your back to lift the sternum, chin slightly in, and take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Good. If this posture feels unnatural or it's hard to hold here and you feel like you're gripping, then there's always the choice to put stuff underneath. I'm just bringing the stuff that I have with me, but you can always put support and feel more rested, and you have a place where the legs can rest on, okay? From here, before we end, we are going to let our torsos drop over the legs. Relax, let it be rounded a little bit in the upper back like it will naturally possibly do. And let the neck drop, the head be heavy just for a moment. Then we slowly walk ourselves back up, bringing the knees towards one another. Extend the legs, wiggle a little, and our last posture, we inhale, arms up overhead, and we fold over the legs, taking a belt if you need, or catching your feet. Now in this last one, try to send the inner thighs down towards the floor. Lengthen the trunk and then fold over the legs. Heavy thighs, like if you have sandbags on top of your thighs and your shins. And then slowly walk ourselves back up or slowly return to seated position. Thank you so much for joining me today in Yoga for the Legs. I hope it's useful and I hope to see you again for the next session. Thank you so much. Namaste.